today's video we're going to talk about upgrading gear, upgrading weapons, crafting, everything that you can do with crafting and all of the little nuances that you need to have in mind about that. Now, as for the location of the blacksmith is going to be right in here on the main city, and it's going to be right here. Now, one thing that you need to have in mind is that if you haven't found the blacksmith yet, just continue progressing into the story. As a matter of fact, this is the earliest thing that you need to do in the game. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. Just continue moving throughout the story, and that's where you're going to find the blacksmith. You cannot, quite literally, you cannot progress into the story if you haven't found the blacksmith. Now, once you have found the blacksmith, there's a couple of things that you're going to find right in here. First, the upgrading our weapon. This is basically self-explanatory. This is what allows us to increase the grade of the weapon that we have right now. Very interestingly enough is that you shouldn't confuse the upgrading our weapon with the grade of a weapon with the level of the weapon. The weapons are going to have a certain level that you are going to be able to reach with them. Leveling that weapon, you do so just by fighting and farming enemies. So kill stuff, and it's going to natively level up by itself on its own. However, if you haven't gotten the blacksmith, the maximum level that you can give to a weapon, I believe it's level 3 if I am not mistaken. And later on, you have to use the weapons to infuse them to higher levels to be able to deal more damage. Now, one more thing that you need to have in mind about upgrading the weapon is that every time that you upgrade a weapon, the limb weapons are going to have a neutral state of it, and whenever you imbue them, that's going to give them a trait, whether if it's going to be Glyph, ecstasy, rage, so on and so forth. Elementally speaking, I want to be clear, crystal clear about that. There's nothing that's going to change when it comes to combat onto the element of the weapon. What's going to change is the actual glyph that you can attach into the weapon. If you're unsure about which glyph are you going to be allocating a specific weapon, you can actually see them all here. I do want to mention that there are concessions that you need to make. There's going to be consequences to your choices. However, have in mind that throughout the exploration of the world, you're going to have access to a whole bunch of different weapons, and they're going to be on like a base state. Now, however you change them, it's going to be up to you. And you can have duplicates of the weapons. The weapons are not special in this game. There's 4 types of weapons. There's axes, swords, great swords, and then the pole arms or the spears or the halberds, however you would like to call them, and there's several of them out there. However, once you have managed to slot a specific element to it, you're not going to be able to reverse that back, so you do need to marry the option. That is why you can see that I have my twin axes of rage in here. I cannot change these guys into anything else. But I also have my twin axes of ecstasy. These guys used to be the very same thing, it's just that once you have upgraded them, they change their actual form and how they look. So that's actually kind of cool because, well, it's to some extent, yeah, some kind of like fashion, but you're also going to be able to change your build of your weapon with this. So this is how the weapon is going to look like on this specific glyph, and then this is how it's going to look like on this other one. And they are very similar to one to another. The shape is going to be very similar, and yeah, but that's just the cosmetic portion of it. And since we have to make concessions, thankfully enough, here's where you can read what is it that each weapon is going to do. Now, it's not going to even then give you like a huge idea on how it's going to work. My best advice for you in here is that you actually try them and see what is it that they do, and save a spare of your main weapon that you know that you're later on going to be using for a specific type of infusion, because they're not very clear. Like this one, a pointed lance of calcified rage erupts from your weapon and blazes towards your target, detonating upon impact. And yeah, I mean, it gives you the description, but it's just a fireball. Fireballs are nice. This could be like for a type of mage build, I would say. But there is nothing better than just getting your weapon out and try it out for yourself. That is how the spell is going to be looking like, or the actual active skill that the weapon is going to do. As a general scenario, the rage weapons are always going to be based on dealing damage. The rest of the weapons have utility stuff, so that's kind of nice to know. As you progress his questline with items that you're more often than not are going to get from the story, it's just one that you're not going to get directly from the story. As a matter of fact, let me show you real fast. It's this one, Victor's Vigil. This is going to progress his questline, and it's going to give you the first upgrade that you get for him. Now, how to complete that questline is actually very simple. You're going to get a key whenever you meet him. And whenever you're exploring the blacksmith's house. Now once you have gotten that, you're going to go right down in here into the marshes, and then you're going to look for a tree. You see? That's the tree right there. So that's going to be your landmark. Continue moving, exploring throughout this area until you find the next thing that you need to find, which is going to be a vehicle, a car. Just right in here. It's this one that you can see right in here. If you open it up, it's going to give you the items that you need to progress his questline. Now once you have gotten all of those items, that's the first one, you give him here on the study. The first one is going to allow you to infuse shots. The shots infusion is basically going to allow you to convert neutral limbic shots with a specific limbic spear. What that does is that every time that you're going to change or upgrade the tier or the grade of the weapon, is going to request for you to have the neutral shots, but also the rage or the actual elements like rage, grief, ecstasy, and so on and so forth. And that's going to allow you to change those neutral shards into the ones that you actually need. You also get these guys from killing enemies out there. So all of those items that you believe that you're picking up and that they're like for nothing, they are for upgrading your weapons as well. As you progress into the game, you're going to get more stuff to increase the grade of the weapons that he's going to be able to slot into your weapons. So that's something very important to have in mind. You can also, and this is interestingly enough, I also advise that you imbue your defensive gear, because more often than not this is going to allow you to withstand a whole bunch of punishments like you have no idea. So this is very, very important and should not be neglected. Finally, the one for the Weave Limby consumables. I didn't talk too much about this one because I don't think that consumables are that great on this game, especially with the difficulty that it has. I never really used consumables that much. However, if you're going for a mage build, then a limbic capacitor, it's actually, or a limbic battery, it's actually very useful to have, because some of the spells that you have with the rage, like the fireball, that you can make a mage build out of that, you have to regen that by dealing damage to the enemy. And if you do not want to get close into the enemy, you just want to be like that type of mage, these guys could be useful. So yeah, there's some kind of usage to that in here. Anyways, if you like the content, like and do, super appreciate it. And also you today, you're gorgeous and beautiful person. You're indeed gorgeous and beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel. You're on Discord. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.